Did you know that every single time you book a load in the US or Canada through a freight broker, they are quietly taking 15 to 25% of your money? That's not a rumor. That's a North American industry standard. And most owner operators have no idea it's happening. So, in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what a freight broker does, what a truck dispatcher does, and by the end, you are going to understand why so many carriers are leaving serious money on the table. Before we get into the numbers, and we will get into the real numbers from the US freight market, let me make sure we are on the same page about who these people actually are. Because I talk to owner operators every week who use the terms freight broker and truck dispatcher like they mean the same thing. They are not, not even close. And understanding this difference, it could mean an extra 800 or 1000 or $2,000 more per month in your pocket. Let's get into it. Okay, so who is a freight broker? A freight broker in US is a licensed middleman. Their job is to connect shippers, the companies that have the cargo, with the carriers. That's you, the truck driver. They are licensed by the FMCSA and they have their own broker authority and they get paid by the shipper to find trucks. Here's how the money works. And let's take an example of a shipper who needs to move a load from Chicago to Dallas. The market rate for that load might be $2,800. The freight broker goes out, find a carrier, maybe you, through the load boards like DAT or Truck Stop, and books you on that load. But they don't offer you that $2,800. They might offer you $2,100, maybe $2,200, and that's around $700 difference. So that's called the broker margin, and it goes straight into their pocket. Now, is it illegal? No, it's not. Is it wrong? That's up for a debate. But here's what the problem is: most brokers won't tell you what the actual shipper rate was. You have no visibility into what the load was worth, and you just get what they decide to give you. And some brokers, they are not taking 15%, they are taking 30, 35, even 40% on certain lanes. Let's say you are running dry van, average 10,000 miles a month, and your average rate per mile is $2.20. That gives you a gross revenue of around $22,000 per month. Now, if you are booking exclusively through freight brokers and they are averaging around a 20% margin on each load, that means $4,400 a month that's going to the brokers, and that's around $52,800 per year going to the broker. Now, to be fair, freight brokers do provide real value. They have relationships with the shippers and they have access to the loads you might not find on your own. They handle some of the administrative work as well. For a new carrier just getting started, a broker can be a lifeline. All right, so now let's talk about truck dispatchers, and this is where it's getting interesting. A truck dispatcher works directly for you, the carrier, not the shipper, not the brokerage, but for you. Their job is to find you the highest paying loads available, negotiate rates on your behalf, handle your paperwork, and keep your wheels turning with as little downtime as possible. Now, here's the key difference. A freight broker makes more money when you make less. That means when the carrier makes less. A dispatcher makes more money when the carrier makes more. Think about that for a second. A dispatcher is typically paid a flat fee or a small percentage of your gross revenue. Usually, the industry average is around 5 to 10%. That means they are incentivized to find you the best rate possible. When you win, they win. It's that simple. Dispatchers also don't need an FMCSA broker license because they are not brokering the freight. They are acting as your representative, your agent, when dealing with the brokers, shippers, and the load boards. They manage your schedule, follow up on the payments, send the check calls, and handle the rate confirmations and chase down any issues on your behalf. Basically, a good dispatcher is like having a full business operations team in your corner. Now, before I get 100 comments saying dispatchers are a scam, let me address that head on. Yes, there are bad dispatchers out there, just like there are bad brokers, just like there are bad mechanics. In any industry, quality varies. But here's what separates a great dispatch service from a bad one. Number one, transparency. A good dispatcher will always tell you exactly what load they booked, what rate was offered, and what they negotiated it to. No secrets. Number two, they are reachable, not just during the business hours. If you have a problem at 11 p.m. in the middle of a run, they have to pick up. Number three, they understand your lanes. They are not just throwing you on some random loads. They are building a schedule that keeps you profitable, reduce your deadhead miles, and gets you home when you need to be home. And number 4, no upfront fees. Legitimate dispatch services get paid when you get paid. If anyone's asking you for a large upfront fee before finding you a single load, just walk away. If this is making sense and you want to understand more about how a professional dispatch service actually works day to day, drop a comment below and let me know. And if you are finding this helpful, hit that like button, and it really does help the channel grow and reach more owner operators who need this information. Alright, let's keep going because I want to talk about one more important thing that almost nobody talks about when comparing brokers and dispatches. Here's the part that doesn't show up in most comparison videos: time. As an owner operator, your job is to drive. Every hour you spend calling brokers, negotiating rates, chasing down paperwork, dealing with detentions, that's an hour you are not behind the wheel. That's an hour you are not making money. A dispatcher takes all of that off your plate. Think about it this way. Let's say you spend 10 hours a week dealing with admin, load searching, and broker calls. If your average earnings are $35 an hour on the road, that's $350 a week, $1,400 a month, and it's $16,800 a year in lost earning potential. That's even more than what you pay a dispatcher, but a dispatcher gives you those hours back. And for owner operators running cross border freight between the US and Canada, it gets even more complex. Permits, customs documentation, border crossing timing. Having someone who knows the cross border freight inside and out, that's not just convenient. That can mean the difference between a smooth crossing and a 12-hour delay that costs you the whole load. So, to wrap this up, freight brokers and truck dispatchers are not the same thing. One works for the shipper and one works for the carrier. Both have the same place in the industry, but if your goal is to maximize your revenue, reduce your admin headaches, and run your operations like a real business, a professional dispatch service is one of the best investments you can make. If you have any questions about anything I covered today, leave them in the comments. And if you want to learn more about how professional dispatch works, especially for dry van, reefer, and flatbed carriers running in the US and Canada, check the description below. Hit subscribe, hit the bell, and I will see you in the next one.